Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali on TV1.
And a very good evening to you and a warm welcome to Newsline recording. And part of this program is also on location, as you will see towards the latter half. My guest tonight is a passionate advocate of animal rights. That doesn't mean the guest is some sort of nutter, because we can, when you hear the story, you'll understand that it takes a lot more than being a nutter to do what these people do, especially my guest, who's quite well known. And my guest is, of course, an activist, a trustee of Rescue Animals Sri Lanka, and is none other than Anusha David. Very good evening to you, madam. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Faraz. Thank you for your warm welcome. And I'm so honored and flattered and touched that you have considered me good enough to be a part of your program.
As you know, part of democracy, which the Capital Maharaja Group always promotes, is of course to hear the other side. And it is in that wider context that you're here. Because at the moment, on top of everything that we are faced with, economic hardship, mismanaged economy, and so on and so forth, and where the people are truly having a very challenging time indeed, despite attempts to portray that Sri Lanka is much better off because we had a change of leadership, that is debatable at the best. But on top of all these things, we've got here something called the monkey business. And on top of all the hardship and pain the country is going through, we are now told that we've got to get rid of some of our monkeys, send them into further drudgery and pain, I suppose. But to find out all of that is why we've got Anusha David here. So, Miss David, what's going on? We've got too many monkeys, is it? And why should the monkeys be sent abroad? What's the real problem here? Where's the middle line? We're a Buddhist country. We're very God-fearing people. And they always, whichever the religion, they always talk about the moderate part, the middle part. Where's the middle part when it comes to these monkeys?
Well, for us, there's a host of questions here. To begin with, I don't think Sri Lanka has actually adhered to the middle path for a long, long time. In the recent past and the not so recent past, all we've been doing is knee-jerk reactions to everything, whether it's animals, whether it's the economy, whether it's agriculture. Everything has been a knee-jerk reaction, without any forethought, without any planning. Everything has been a knee-jerk reaction. And as a result, we as a nation have suffered greatly. Our humanity is endangered. We've actually lost our identity. I think Sri Lanka as it was in the time of my parents and the Sri Lanka as it is now, there's no semblance. We are completely lost.
But let's be a bit more specific now about these monkeys. There is a move to export. The minister says it himself, that they want to send 100,000 of these monkeys to China.
Yes, let's get down to facts and figures here.
Yes. So what is, and then we have a statement now from the Chinese embassy denying that any permission has been granted in China for the importation of 100,000 monkeys.
Well, that's very strange, because on the 10th of March, a letter written on the letterhead of the Zhejiang Wu Animal Breeding Company was received by the Minister of Agriculture. That is on the 10th of March. On the 11th of March, he made a statement to the effect that 100,000 monkeys have been requested by China and that they will be sent off to China for ostensibly Chinese zoos. Now, as per international guidelines, there are just 18 zoos in China which conform to
The international
the
standard.
international standard of a zoo. So that makes it over 5,000 Sri Lankan monkeys to be accommodated in each of these zoos.
It's a sizable
I'm
number.
sorry, it's just incredible. It's laughable. So, are we really expected to believe that 5,000 monkeys are going to be accommodated in each zoo? Now we all know that, especially since COVID, China has had a lot of problems with its wildlife markets, and they use monkey brain is a delicacy which is consumed freely. Monkey pearls are used in medicine. Monkeys are used extensively in laboratories where they undergo a lifetime of torture and deprivation and hardship and cruelty. And that is where our Sri Lankan Tok macaque monkeys are headed. Now, is this what we want? We are a Buddhist nation. In India, our neighbor, as well as in certain parts of Sri Lanka, the monkeys are worshipped because Hanuman, or Anjaneya as he is known, was Lord Rama's closest companion. So, are we descending to exporting our monkeys for dollars? Is this what a Buddhist country has come down to? And it's a little futile for the government to deny it when a letter has been already published from this company in China, and when our agriculture minister himself has made several statements to that effect.
But I hear what you say. What's the solution?
The solution is invest in research, invest in laparoscopy, which is what is being done in India to control the monkey population. Invest in research where you can develop methods of curtailing the human-animal conflict. Invest in forestation. Right now we are investing in deforestation. Invest in forestation. You see, deforestation is the biggest reason for the human-animal conflict. Where I live in Bathramulla, we are all very lucky to have enormous expanses of garden. And at least once a week, somebody down my road is cutting down trees, and they're all very valuable trees, which have taken over 100 years to grow. So what we need is education. We need people to be aware of the fact that we are fast destroying our planet. We are destroying everything that is valuable and sacred on our planet. And the fact that this has to be curtailed. The planet is not for humans alone. Earth is for humans and animals. I'll give you a very good example of what happened in an Indian town called Surat. There was a mayor who was elected, and overnight he said, I'm getting rid of all the street animals in Surat, which he did. In a matter of, I think, less than a year, Surat was overrun with rats, overrun. The residents of Surat couldn't even walk on the roads without being attacked. Now, this is a fact. As per Maneka Gandhi, this is reported in the Indian newspapers. So much so that the street dogs had to be reintroduced to Surat. So this is what happens when we take arbitrary knee-jerk reactions like this. Arming villagers with guns to shoot animals, exporting peacocks, exporting monkeys, regardless of what fate befalls them, without no due thought, without no study, without any research being done as to how we can coexist with the animals that inhabit our beautiful planet Earth. That is what needs to be done. As I said, in India, they are doing laparoscopy. They are looking into methods of developing monkey repellents. Unfortunately, that hasn't been very successful, but the work is still going on in that respect. But laparoscopy definitely has to be started in Sri Lanka. And we have to look at other methods of protecting the farmers, protecting their crops. You see, if there is a will, there is a way. It can be done.
If there's a will to not export our animals for whatever purpose, other than maybe very limited numbers where it's all sorted that it's not going to be harmful and that kind of thing. So therefore very limited. But notwithstanding all that, how possible is it to relocate monkeys to one of our national parks or somewhere like that, or the Singaraja forest?
It can be done. It can be done with the help of zoologists and experts, botanists. We can get help from overseas. There are plenty of countries who will assist us. There are plenty of international animal organizations who would help us. I mean, when the tsunami struck Sri Lanka, in something like 10 days, I was able to get down between 7 to 10 international animal welfare organizations who came down and worked in Sri Lanka for 2 years, vaccinating and sterilizing dogs, cattle, goats. This is during the tsunami, 10 days after the tsunami struck. So again, as I say, if there's a will, there's a way. So why doesn't the government speak to people like us who have the resources, who have the knowledge, and who have the contacts to get all these people down?
What are they frightened of, do you think? Can you hazard a guess?
Well, this is what's easy. It's again, it's a knee-jerk reaction. You know, it's like arming the villagers with guns to shoot the elephants, export the monkeys. It's very easy, isn't it? It doesn't require much thought or effort, and it brings in dollars.
So Sri Lanka is very good at taking, but when it comes to international calls for a independent review of allegations of war crimes, for example, they say no. Why should we have all the expertise? We will have a homegrown explanation or investigation. But when it comes to these other things, they say, oh yes, give. Anusha, David, I'd like to thank you, first of all, for your efforts in terms of caring and giving some compassion towards our animal friends, the animal citizens of our country. They are also part of Sri Lanka. And also, I'd like to thank you for coming on Newsline and putting your side of things so to balance the perspective, if you like. We appreciate your time. We're now going to join some others who, after the break, who also spoke about the same issue, the so-called monkey business in Sri Lanka. But Anusha, and we're going straight through to that and then on to the news. So I'd like to say, Anusha, thank you very much indeed for being on Newsline.
Just one thing more for us before I thank you. In the last 40 years, there has been approximately a 50% decrease in the Turk macaque population, and they are on the IUCN endangered list. So why we are trying to export endangered animals that are endemic to Sri Lanka is beyond me.
And it's also illegal because there are laws doing that. Anusha, David, thank you very much.
Thank you for us. Thank you for this opportunity.
It's been a pleasure. And I'll leave you because after this you're going straight into the rest of the program, and then it'll be the primetime news.
Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali on TV1. TV1, TV for life.
Tremor experienced in the seas of Hambantota. Geologists claim there is no threat of major earthquakes. Appeal Court issues order preventing the arrest and questioning of former Attorney General Tappula Dilivera. Sajith Premadasa to lead a new movement against government's undemocratic conduct. Electricity supply in limbo over insufficient rainfall. A warning from CEB engineers. Sri Lankan Airlines lacks additional aircraft for emergency use. Proposal to lease new aircraft for the national carrier. Samagi Jana Balawegaya goes to CID, demanding to know who solicited a bribe from Express Pearl.
TV1. TV for life. Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali on TV1.
This is, of course, Newsline on location, a recording, and it's all about the monkey business. So let's find out. We've got here with us one of our speakers, Professor Sampath Seniratne from the University of Colombo. So, Professor, thank you for talking to Newsline. What's all this monkey business then?
It's always monkey business here, isn't it?
Well, yes, in Sri Lanka it seems to be a lot of monkey business.
Correct. And this is one another such a case where I think what happened, what politicians done to this country over the past few years led them to the villagers reject them big time. So there's no way for them to go back to the village. And suddenly they found monkeys might help them. Monkeys might salvage the day by so that way to win the hearts of the farmers. There is a issue. There is a kind of the crop damages that the farmers suffer. The some of the very poor decisions that the higher level taken over the past few years had really crippled the agriculture sector in this country. So on top of that, now suddenly the monkey is an issue because monkeys actually raid farmlands. So but the problem is that you have a leaking dam. A chewing gum won't fix the problem. So sending a whole bunch of monkeys to China won't solve the problem. It will create whole set of new problems. It will erode our national identity, our national integrity. These monkeys might ended up in places where we won't even want to think. Might be in torture houses, in laboratories where the illegal drug testing might be taking place, because to our knowledge, there's very few zoos in China. So this proposal apparently is 100,000 monkeys sent to, been asked by a firm in China to distribute to zoos. But the problem is that there's few zoos, apparently about 18 zoos.
But Professor, where does one draw the line between the need to protect the monkeys and the need to support the farming community? Not only the farming community, where various communities where there is sort of a lot of monkeys, there's a lot of damage that these get up to. So where does one draw the line?
The one thing is that yes, of course we have to protect our farmers. We have to protect our basically the plate that we because the food has to come onto the plate, and we have to protect the systems that provides. No question. And we have to protect the farmer who produced that food. Correct. And at the same time, Sri Lanka is not just people. We have to protect our environment for the sake of even for Sri Lankan national identity.
And joining Newsline on location is Professor Swandi Jayakodi from the Wamba University. So Professor, where does one draw the line between the existence of human beings and our farming community and other communities where monkeys have caused damage? I have messages from the public saying that they're a nuisance, they cause lots of trouble. So where do we draw the line?
I think the way to draw the line is understanding the problem itself to start with, because up to now we haven't really assessed and worked out the real magnitude of the problem. And we have also not understood the real stakeholders of the problem. We talk about farmer communities, but it's not just the farmer communities. There's the school children, there's the shop owners, that's the general public that is getting affected. So we have to really investigate who's getting impacted. That's your stakeholders. And then the next important thing is working out. You asked me the question where to draw the line. Well, the line is where every stakeholder is happy. That's what we call the wildlife management. So to make sure that we have done the right justice to those who are affected, also done the right justice to the species itself, and justice to the international commitments we have made to protect our native endemic biodiversity, especially the species that are threatened. So that's when I say you draw the line. And in doing so, you just can't simply do it unless you bring in the science, unless you understand the ethics of doing something, and unless you understand the cultural and the sentimental value of the people, but very importantly, unless you understand whether we have the right financial capacity and the human resources. And once you know all this, of course you can draw a fine line where everyone would be happy.
We're talking about monkey business in Sri Lanka, and we're joined here by Professor Wolfgang Dittus, who's a long-term resident of Sri Lanka and something of an expert on monkeys. Hello, Professor. Thank you for talking to Newsline.
Good afternoon. Happy to be speaking with you.
Thank you. So where do you find the happy medium between the existence of the monkeys and the peacefulness or somewhat of the farming community and others who are impacted by apparently a growing monkey population?
The happy medium would be to implement ways that people learn to protect themselves against monkeys coming to their property. And there are ways to do that, but it's very difficult to change people's habits. And we've been speaking to people for many, many years. Kiela, verakne. That is the problem. It's a massive education program for the general public. How to deal with the monkeys in their environment. I mean, the first impulse when someone has a monkey in their backyard, or more than one monkey in their backyard, is to, what can we do to get rid of them? Throw a stone, get the dog to bite, throw a firecracker, throw water, whatever. Wrong approach. What you need to do is change your mindset. What you need to think is, what do we as humans need to do so that monkeys are not attracted to our premise? And that involves cleaning up your environment. Don't throw your food scraps into the environment. Don't feed your dog outside where the monkeys can get at the dog's food. On trips, don't just leave when you go on a picnic, don't just throw your rice packets anywhere, because it'll attract monkeys from the jungle. When you go to an archaeological site, to a religious site, don't just take your kitty butt with you to donate to the monkeys because you want to earn a ping for the next life, because all you're doing is you're teaching monkeys how to appreciate human food, and then once you're gone, they will go and seek human food, go to the nearest village, and in the nearest village, people will be offended by monkeys coming to help themselves to their food, and they will poison them. So the feeding of monkeys is a major problem nationwide, not only here, also in some other countries. And if you stop that, you've won half the battle in preventing conflict between humans and monkeys.
Let's take a legal perspective, shall we? And this is Ravan Veerasinghe, the legal officer for WNPS. And what's the legal position in terms of exporting monkeys?
So most of the law governing export of wild animals is governed by the Fauna and Flora Protection Ordinance. Yeah. And in terms of the said ordinance, so it gives a blanket ban on exporting mammals, especially indigenous mammals, except for the exception of scientific research and sharing such animals with museums and other zoos. So if I'm to read from the Act, you first need to get a permit if you're going to export. So it says no person shall export from Sri Lanka any mammal, bird, reptile, amphibian, fish, coral or other invertebrate, whether dead or alive, except under the authority of a permit. Such permit shall not be issued except for the promotion of scientific knowledge, including supplies to foreign museums, foreign zoological gardens, in exchange for supplies to local museums or local zoological gardens.
So basically, there is no provision in the law books to give way to any particular minister's whims and fancies.
So if I'm to elaborate further, I would say if you're looking to remove a part of the monkey population by exporting them abroad, this particular provision works against it. That's section 40 of the Fauna and Flora Protection Ordinance. Because it gives this very limited ground by which to export such mammal. Indigenous mammal. The Act specifically refers to indigenous.
So legally there is no provision to enable the export of unless they're in very limited quantities and for specific purposes.
For a very specific purpose.
Today we're reporting on the monkey business, and I'm talking to Panchali Panapitia from Team Rare. Thank you, Panchali, for being here. What does Team Rare do?
Well, RARE stands for Rally for Animal Rights and Environment, right. And we are an action group that works on animal rights in Sri Lanka.
Okay. So in this particular instance, you'll be promoting the rights of these monkeys.
Yes, because monkeys have a right to live in Sri Lanka just as humans do. So we are standing up for the rights of the monkeys.
We understand that, and we understand that the law is also on the side of the monkeys in terms of exports and so on, unless it's for very specific purposes and not in large numbers such as this, proposed about 100,000, we're told. But where does one draw the line between the existence of human beings and their businesses and their livelihoods and the right of monkeys to live as they do?
Well, now, the root cause of these the wildlife and human conflicts are the humans, right? Most of these conflicts have started because we have cleared forests, we have done a lot of unplanned development, short-sighted development, and we have misplaced the animals. Right, so now these monkeys have become urbanized now. Because we have taken their homes away from them. So unless we actually solve the root causes and find solutions to the root causes, we will not be able to find a sustainable and long-term solution for this issue.
And is it possible at all that these monkeys be relocated to a particular place, part of some forest in Sri Lanka?
Well, you can't really relocate animals like that, because if their habitat is in one place, if you actually take them away and put them somewhere else, that will badly affect their social lives, their well-being. So
the best way to do it would be, like Professor Wolfgang said, to learn to live with the monkeys.
Yes, because we have taken their homes away. Now they have come out of the forest because there are no forests. So we have to learn to live with the monkeys, and then the solutions aren't that difficult. It's just stop feeding the monkeys, proper garbage management, and reforestation. Right. I mean, just imagine, even if you kill all the monkeys in Sri Lanka, do you think we can live happily? No, because the monkey is the predator of insects that affect crops, and then those animals will then multiply because the main predator is gone. Right. So that's not going to be a solution.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali on TV1.